Hey guys, I'm Jack. I'm currently a goalkeeper here at Concordia University. I'll be discussing whether Fingersave or spine technology should be used within goalkeeping gloves in soccer. The main content of this video will be an interview with a goalkeeper like myself and a current goalkeeping coach who also has experience as a goalkeeper. But for those of you in class who have little to no experience in soccer, I'll provide a quick description on the goalkeeper position and his or her responsibilities. Okay. So in soccer there's many positions, but the goalkeeping position is unlike any other as we're allowed to use our hands. We are essentially exactly what the name says. We're defenders of the soccer goal. We stand between the two posts and attempt to stop the opposition from scoring by any means possible, with any body part we like, but predominantly our hands and feet, hence the goalkeeping gloves. This is the main duty of our position among others, but that's all you will really need to know for the topic we're about to discuss. So, Fingersave technology. It's basically a form of almost splinting your fingers like you would your wrist or your arm if you broke it, and preventing them from bending back to cause damage to your ligaments or your bones themselves. Okay, so the Fingersaves or spines themselves are predominantly made out of plastic, so they're durable enough to stop your fingers from bending back. And they're inserted into all four fingers on each of the gloves, but not usually your thumb, to increase grip on the ball. So at this point you might be thinking, is there any cons of the Fingersaves at all? Are they just for injury prevention? But no, there's actually a number of debated topics in which we'll go on to discuss within the interview. But first of all, I will explain some of the most widely regarded views throughout the whole world and throughout the whole goalkeeping community. Okay, so here are some of the most widely thought opinions on Fingersaves. So one of the most common drawbacks on Fingersaves or spines in gloves is the lack of flexibility that the spines offer players. The spines are often become restrictive in moments where speed is essential and they reduce overall grip on the ball. Secondly, on average 1 in 5 youth players use spines in their gloves due to weak hands or parents believing their hands may get injured otherwise. Thirdly, Fingersave technology does offer support but can have negative impacts on the long-term basis due to lack of finger strengthening for developing players. And finally, Fingersave technology could be more useful if it was more personalized or tailored to the specific goalkeeper's needs. So for example, if the player had just a single injured finger which they wanted protecting, they could just insert a single spine into that finger of the glove so that they don't restrict any flexibility in the rest of their hands. I'm here with Mark Horsburgh, the senior goalkeeper for Concordia Men's Soccer, and Daniel Ball, the goalkeeping coach for Concordia Men's Soccer.
Hey guys.
And we are here to discuss whether spine or Fingersave technology should be used within goalkeeping gloves. Dan, if you would like to start us off with your opinion on the matter.
Jack, I think that's a super important issue that you raised. It's something that's been spoken about in goalkeeper forums across the world. For those people that don't know what the spines are, they're typically 5 or 6 pieces of conjoined plastic that sit in the glove and prevent the finger from moving backwards. I suppose you should know a little bit of background about my playing career so I can talk about it, have some credibility to talk about it. So I played 10 years before I came to America, and in those 10 years I probably only used spines for about 2 of them. The reason I used spines for about 2 of them, I started playing soccer when I was 13, which is super late back home, and I jumped into a pace of game, a pretty high level of game that my fingers just weren't ready. Put that also in conjunction with the fact that my parents were buying my gloves. I didn't have too much say, and my parents had a concern as to the longevity of my hands and joints if I was to continue playing the level that I was playing if I weren't using gloves with such technology in. So now that I'm here at Concordia and I recruit goalkeepers, the trends I've started to notice are that typically goalkeepers, once they break out of the 14, 15-year range, choose to steer away from spines. A couple of reasons why. Principally because this used to be the case with the technology. It's been annulled a little bit now. But punching the ball, it can be easier, but also the trajectory and the direction with which you punch with spines can be a little bit unpredictable. Secondly, it's more of a look thing. Sports now is dominated by looks, brands, aesthetics, And if I was to see a goalkeeper or recruit a goalkeeper or play against a goalkeeper that was wearing spines, I wouldn't take them serious. So that's my opinion. Mark, what do you think?
Well, Daniel, you have raised excellent points there, most of which I agree with. In fact, all. I personally have not used the spine technology that Dan mentioned.
Yeah.
Even in my younger days,
Yeah.
I feel that it's all to do with personal opinion, though. You see a lot of keepers on the continent using a lot of this spine technology. Maybe that's just a culture thing, you never know how these things work out, but I think it's all down to personal preference, and also previous injuries. I think that could play a part. You might lose a little bit of strength in the finger department, so that's good. That's the point I was trying to put across.
Yeah, and I agree completely with Mark. Yeah, I think it's super important, and you boys both know that the higher level you play, the more you play in college, there becomes a almost inevitable understanding of your body, and you can tell Stacey, our athletic trainer, and me what's going on with regards to your hips, your hands, but your fingers are super important too. And I was actually reading a study the other day by a goalkeeper. I can't remember his name. I'll have to find it for you, Jack, and send you the link. But he was talking about the rigorous things that he did with regards to strengthening his hands, because he understood that to reach the levels and have the longevity in his skeletal system for goalkeepers play now to 40 years old, and to have that skeletal strength, it was super important that he ate the right stuff, he drank the right stuff, and looked after the ligaments in his hands. And I think that Fingersave can do that. I think that there needs to be some amendments made to the technology to make sure that it doesn't inhibit the goalkeeper from their performance. So I think ultimately that's what the goalkeeper is worried about. I think they're worried about a Fingersave technology inhibiting their performance on field, because that's where the goalkeeper is noticed, and the positive ramifications of their work on the training field and in the gym the fruit is bore out there.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying there, Dan. I think it more of a, Dan was talking about advancing the technology. I think maybe the way forward is a kind of hybrid, I feel like there's definitely a black and white between these technologies today. I think it is like an SUV, you have the sportiness of a sedan, but also the
size,
the versatility for going camping, so.
And I think you talk about versatility there, Mark, and I think it's super important to give a real life example of that. I know one of my favourite goalkeepers, and a goalkeeper that I model a lot of my practice and stylistic the fashion on, is a guy called Jack Butland, who has had a number of surgeries recently in the last couple of years, and he actually has Fingersave in his middle two fingers to protect them with the constant day after day grinding of being a professional athlete. So I think it's super important that whilst we recognise that the young people play with Fingersave, Mark, that also transcends through all levels of the game to ultimately the pinnacle, which is Stoke City United.
Thanks, guys.
So as I said at the beginning of the video, guys, this is a widely debated topic with a multitude of viewpoints, negatives and positives, and I'm sure you guys have your own viewpoint. One thing we can say for sure from our research and our interview, though, is that Fingersaves do have a place in the sport, whether it be for injury prevention or for today's youth who are just beginning to play the sport. But it also has its flaws, and it can affect a goalkeeper's game negatively if used in the wrong way. For this reason, I would like to turn your attention to the hybrid technology, or the use of personalising the spines, that Mark and Dan brought up towards the end of the interview. Is this the way forward, or is it really the best of both worlds? It's certainly an interesting prospect, and one which I do believe could have a future in the sport of soccer and goalkeeping.